ヨーロッパから今答えが返ってきた。
Triumph from Japan.
Hello! You join me out on the street, ready to give a yearly review of the 1983 Triumph Acclaim. So, when talking about this car, what can we say about it? I bought it just over 1 year ago, and I've done probably about 10,000 miles in it in my ownership. And realistically, it's provided commendable daily driver duty. It's been almost entirely repair and maintenance free, to be honest, apart from after it was initially bought and I had to do a bit of a weld-a-thon on it. But since then it has needed nothing aside from a wheel cylinder. The car has been remarkably reliable. The main problem is that the bodywork is now starting to look quite shabby. While the car was resprayed only a couple of years ago, it evidently wasn't prepped very well, and quite a lot of filler and fiberglass and tin foil has been used in its prior repair works, and it will need looking at. But as far as providing transport goes, it's been absolutely marvellous. Really been quite good. So when I bought this car, it had 61,200,000 miles on the clock or thereabouts. It now has 71,000 miles. So 10,000 miles of my ownership, has needed nothing mechanical apart from routine servicing. It uses no oil, it uses no coolant. The only issue I had with it was when I got it, the ignition timing was slightly out. But since resetting that, I've had not a single issue with it. I've replaced the radio with one with a cassette player, and that is probably about the extent of the modifications to the car, to be quite honest. I've had to do absolutely nothing else. A testament to 1980s Japanese design, I suspect. So here's an element of the car that needs no looking at whatsoever, essentially. The 1.3 litre overhead cam twin carb engine, which has been absolutely and entirely trouble free. When I initially got the car, the ignition timing was set wrongly, and since that was rectified, it has been absolutely perfect. Absolutely nothing to report. Had oil changes as per the manual, and a filter change for the air filter, and that's essentially it. I did check the valve clearances and they were all fine, didn't need adjusting, so yeah, nothing really much to say. Come back in a few tens of thousand miles more and replace the timing belt, and that'll be about it. 71,000 miles, so I reckon there's probably still a good 40 or 50,000 left in it before it needs any large-scale remedial work. Not too shabby. Take it for a quick spin. So as far as driving goes, the car goes perfectly well. The only minor annoyance is a rattly exhaust, although Triumph Acclaim exhausts are essentially unavailable. I can only find one for sale. It's on eBay from a seller in Germany, and it's quite expensive. So what I'll probably end up doing is buying some mild steel lengths of pipes and generic silencers and making my own exhaust. Seems to be the ideal solution. The only other annoying thing is some of the vibrations from the interior plastics, especially now it's starting to get warmer. All of these dash plastics seem to, I've just made that one worse, seem to be starting to cause a bit of a cacophony, which I'm not too keen on, to be quite frank. The eagle-eared amongst you there will have noticed that the left-hand indicator flashes twice as quickly when I have my foot on the brake, so there's some interesting earthing problem there, I suspect. It doesn't seem to matter which rear light is on either, even if it's just a regular rear light, that indicator will flash twice as quickly if any other rear light is illuminated. Rather interesting. Very eager, very pleasant to drive, light steering, light brakes. The engine is quite responsible with its twin carbs. It's a bit lacking in torque in some respects, in that if you start adding passengers you do notice them. You can't exactly once you've got, even if you just add one passenger, you do notice there's a noticeable effect on performance. But it is only a 1.3, it is only 70 horsepower. I've never really been wanting for anything in this car. So the only mechanical problem I had with this car is that the mount for one of the brake pipes snapped off the rear shock absorber, and just where the spot welds had failed. Bear in mind this shock absorber was new old stock fitted when I first got the car, so it was probably 30 odd years old. I don't know how it was stored. So the spot weld snapped off the mount. The mount snapped off the shock, and then the brake pipe was free to sort of rattle and vibrate around in a unpleasant manner, which over time damaged pipe down at the union, and it sprung a leak and dumped all its brake fluid. When I removed that union from the wheel cylinder on the rear drums, the thread was pretty mangled, so I ended up replacing the entire wheel cylinder. Well, this seems to be just be traffic chaos, doesn't it? Any complaints, it's that the ride is not quite as nice as I'd like. It's quite crashy over bumps, which on Glasgow's horrendously potholed roads are abundantly clear. It can be really quite crashy and jarring, especially with all the interior plastics making a cacophony every single time. But I'm not quite sure how much of that is due to design and how much of that is due to the fact that it's probably still running all of its original suspension rubbers, which are going to be 35 years old. So, I suppose the next thing to ask is, what is the future plan for this car? Well, I've got to admit, I'm not entirely sure. When the MOT expires at the end of May, it will go in for another one, and we'll see what it needs then, and sort of assess based on that. I'm hoping it won't need a massive amount. But if it does, I'm not really in a fist. Oh, there's an old Drive TR6 over there. I'm not really in a financial position to repair it, really. So I'm just sort of hoping it won't need very much. Ideally, I would like to take it off the road for some amount of time to really get the bodywork sorted out, especially that sort of rear valance area is in quite terrible condition. But unfortunately that may prove difficult, as this is the only functioning car on the fleet. The Dolomite 1300 is well and truly goosed. So, other than the bodywork, the only other thing I would really do is continue to use and drive the car. As that seems to be what it's happiest doing. It does idle slightly roughly. I'm not sure if there's a vacuum leak or a slightly imbalanced carburetor, but it's proving difficult to track and difficult to fix, especially due to the fact that there are a lot of parts for these carburetors that aren't available, so I can't just go tearing into them. Again, currently holding out till post MOT result. And depending on how much I have to spend to get it through the MOT, we'll see what is left in the kitty for repairs. Hopefully enough, because I do like this car. Lovely.
思想国際車ホンダバラード英国 BL 社提携記念バラードスペシャル登場ホンダベルノ店から